Focus Football alongside Mike Clay, Liz Loza, Yates, and Stephania Bell. My name is Daniel Dopp. Thank you so much for being here with us today at the beautiful Baha Mar Resort. Shout out to both Baha Mar and the Hyatt for letting us do this, and BDG Global for everything they have done to be able to help put this unbelievable event together. Guys, we did the Beach Combine and a bunch of awesome stuff today. We've had an incredible start to this weekend so far. I just want to ask, what's been your favorite thing so far, Mike, when you're looking back at the weekend?
My favorite thing is that, what time is it right now? It's 3:08 local time.
Local time, yep.
Like 58 minutes ago, I was sleeping on a beach chair with a drink next to me, bathing suit on, jumped up, came up here, got dressed, and here I am on the stage. So that's the best part for sure, is just spending a lot of time
At least
just
you
relaxing.
got dressed today.
Yeah, I did. I put clothes on today. I didn't,
We all appreciate that. It was very jarring last night to be able to watch you take your shirt off in the middle of the show.
Listen, we've seen
The
enough
top
of
of
you
the show.
taking your shirt off. Like it's someone else had to do it
Had to
for
do
once.
it.
It's
That's
always
fair.
you, okay?
Maybe not, but sure.
But sure.
Well, I decided.
I was
That's
pumped
what
because I
happened.
saw you participate in the Beach Combine today, and you came out unscathed.
Yeah, one-piece field is still, it's a good thing right now. My favorite part of the day was, maybe like a little over 58 minutes ago, I had some peace and quiet in my room. I was able to, big trade today in the NFL. We're going to dive into that, of course. I had plenty of time to get all the rankings updated, got my personal projections accounted for as well. I made a trade in the Dynasty League. So,
Nice.
despite the fact that it's an 88-degree oasis that we are spending a few days in, I've been grinding the tape and just making sure that the operation of the show goes on at ESPN Fantasy. You're welcome, America.
It sounds like he's doing vacation wrong.
That's
If you ask me.
Wait, it's not vacation, Mike. It's work.
What?
I'm not sure.
I don't think it was until about
Is that one
3
of those
o'clock.
French words, vacation? I'm not familiar with that term. Is that like a shoe?
Don't know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Liz, Stephania, either of you have the thing that has stand out so far throughout the weekend?
I enjoyed talking Pokemon with
Jamal
Jamal
Williams?
Williams last night.
Yes, please.
He was
Okay,
wearing
name
an
dropper.
Eevee hat. Well, yeah, I'm gonna name drop. That's the whole point or one of the many points of the weekend. But he was wearing an Eevee hat, and we talked Pokemon. I'm a fire type. That will probably surprise absolutely no one on this set.
For what it's worth, that was where mine was at, too. Mama Dopp was so excited when she found out Jamal Williams was going to be here. So
What
being able-
language are you guys speaking right now?
You don't know Pokemon?
Just
So
wait.
you're Eevee?
Yeah,
Eevee is a type of Pokemon. There's many.
Before the evolution happens
Correct.
into it. Yeah, so there's...
I'm going to go get
It's an
my
evolved,
10-year-old nephew
Pikachu.
to
Yes.
translate.
There you go. There you go.
Eevee's an electric type, right?
That's a fire type.
It is a fire type.
Eevee's
yeah,
a fire
yeah.
type. Yeah.
Look, I'm still trying to say Bill Krosky Merritt correctly, so I can't get into that stuff right now. I'm focused on that.
Focus on that. Stephania, what about you?
Let's see. A lot. I think the ride down the lazy river
Oh, so
without
good.
upending the floater, the tube that you go down in, somehow managed to make it all the way around in one piece without going upside down. That was the success of the day.
Yeah.
But while you guys were all, pretending to be athletes out there at the combine, one of us
rude.
was also doing some television on the pier. So that was fun.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Excuse
All
me?
right, buried
So
the
you
lead.
guys were in the background.
Local TV?
No, it was for a network. Maybe you've heard of it, ESPN and
For
Disney
real?
Plus. Yeah,
Disney Plus.
yeah. If you look at my coworkers, care so much about the things I do.
That is called a
You didn't tell us anything
peer
about
throw.
this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice
There's a
job.
new show called Vibe Check.
I know Vibe Check. You were doing Vibe Check from here?
I was on Vibe Check from here because where better to get vibes than at Baha Mar down in the Bahamas?
That's a great point.
Yeah, so
Great point.
we had the combine in the background. I was showcasing everything that was going on while people were selecting their draft order, and then we talked a little fantasy football with Hannah Storm and Courtney Cronin, and it'll
That's
be on Disney
amazing.
Plus at 5 p.m.
Oh, let's go.
That's
Way to go,
amazing.
She's
Stephania.
the most professional. Look at that plug.
That's
Seamless.
right.
Yeah. And
Field
most
is-
importantly, Daniel, unbelievable resort here. The people are
That's
off
so
the
great.
charts. Huge thanks to
Fantastic.
the Baha Mar team, the BDG team for all they've done and
Yep.
taking amazing care of us. Met some awesome people as well. It's been a great weekend. It's been a great weekend.
And it's only getting started for what it's worth. We
Hey,
got
yo.
a couple more days to be able to dive into a lot of fun with everybody here. All right, but speaking of, even though we're on like this pseudo work vacation, the NFL doesn't stop, and we found that out today while we were sitting in a cabana
Yeah.
where the 49ers and Commanders make a trade.
Well, to be clear, I was up in my room working.
Correct, you were. That's
While
fair.
the rest
That's
of you
fair.
found out Morgan Hand at the cabana. Yes.
Yes. But Bill McCroskey Merritt, or I think I was going to call him JCM, but everyone calls
Did you,
him
just,
Bill.
did you just call him McCroskey Merritt?
Bill Krosky Merritt. I think I might
This
have
is
said
why I was
McCroskey.
practicing.
Is he
Yeah,
Irish?
I was practicing.
He's an Irish lad.
as a guy that I feel like is going to have some value now after Brian Robinson Jr. gets traded from the Commanders to the 49ers. Mike, I'm going to ask you just from a projection standpoint, right? We watched Brian Robinson Jr. transition over to the 49ers. Is that going to impact CMC or any of the other running backs there as well? And what will that mean for the Commanders' workload at the running back spot?
Well, first of all, Field did the updates, I thought. So
maybe he should be the one.
Again, I'm glad to do this.
Being the projection
Say
guy.
the word. Yes, thank you. People know me as the stats guy.
Yeah, first of all, there's two sides to this, obviously. We'll start with the 49ers.
This is the easy part, right?
Exactly. Very low impact. Christian McCaffrey can handle 55, 60% of the carries and his normal target share and be fine. So we already expected somebody to handle some of the carries out there. It won't be Isaac Guerrero now. So if you've taken a late flyer on him as a potential insurance option, you can cut him loose. That's the question I've gotten most so far, actually, is what to do there. You can cut him loose. It should be pretty clearly Brian Robinson Jr. as the spell back. Could get some goal line work, but not much. It's really going to be Christian McCaffrey. This will be a 6th-round pick. So that's that side of it. The other side is Washington. I think out of the gate, 3-headed attack, and that's not what we want to hear. I think Austin Eckler's the guy probably with the safest floor early on because he's going to be involved in passing situations. We'll get some carries. Bill Krosky-Merritt will. He's the flashier guy, the young guy. Most upside, potentially could establish himself as a lead back within time. And then don't forget about Chris Rodriguez. He'll have a role here, goal line, short yardage. But if I'm drafting, I guess that's the question. I'm curious where all of you go. Who are you most interested in picking? For me, I think Eckler would be the safest, but I want Krosky-Merritt. I think that's a guy that could establish himself as the one.
Yeah, I agree
Who's
with all that.
going first on this? You go first.
I agree 100% with everything that you just said. For what it's worth, like the idea of, I'm trying not to say for what it's worth, but I just did. But when I look at this 49ers backfield, do you believe that Brian Robinson Jr., Stephania, is worth still adding?
I'm a little confused as to why you are so confident that Isaac Guerrero is just out of the picture.
Because there's only 64 snaps a game. Christian McCaffrey's playing a pretty sizable chunk of those.
I'm with you on McCaffrey.
Yeah, well, you don't trade for Robinson, I think, to not play at all. I mean, I know it's low draft capital, but there's a reason they brought him in. Guerrero also hasn't been fully healthy
right,
as well.
He's been banged up, so maybe
you're telling me about the 49ers and their health. I'm well aware of that, but Isaac Guerrero.
Well, you asked me a question, Stephania.
I know, but they're not the same type of player. Brian Robinson's a different type of player than Isaac Guerrero, and Isaac Guerrero filled in capably last year. Yes, they get a power back in Brian Robinson, which is something they didn't have, period. That's not really who they had. Christian McCaffrey is incredibly versatile, but I just don't totally see Isaac Guerrero being gone completely.
Would you still draft him?
Can I split the atom a little bit here? I think headline, nothing changes for Christian McCaffrey. Still feel extremely confident in him as a top somewhere between 6 and 8 pick. My opinion is that prior to this trade, there was a real insurance policy value in Isaac Guerrero because he would be the next man up and probably the clear-cut next man up like he was late last season for the 49ers. Now, and I'm sorry to even utter these words, so earmuff it if you're a 49ers fan or you're a Christian McCaffrey drafter, if he gets hurt, rather than it being probably the Isaac Guerrero show, it's going to be a committee behind him, which means that no back is a...
That I buy.
Okay.
But that to me is different than like...
Well, I also think that Jordan Mason isn't there now, and Brian Robinson has a skill set that is closer to Jordan Mason's than Isaac Guerrero's.
Agreed. And I think that's the point. I just think it means Guerrero is undraftable now. There's just, even if you need McCaffrey go down, you needed McCaffrey to go down for him to have value. And now even if McCaffrey does go down, to your point,
it's
he
so
still is not startable
I guess
in
that
fantasy.
was my question was, I don't see Brian Robinson as necessarily being the guy to totally carry the load, so I don't think he offers the same kind of thing. Like Jordan Mason was not a huge pass catching back either. So it's hard to replace a Christian McCaffrey because you're not going to get an apple for an apple there.
Right. Well, so I think headline again, or like winners and losers category from the San Francisco side. I don't think there's any winner. Christian McCaffrey was already an elite option. He stays an elite option.
Correct.
I would argue that the fantasy value for Brian Robinson Jr. and Isaac Guerrero took a big hit today to the point that I'm with Mike. They're both now in like the late 40s for me in terms of my running back rankings. Where it's interesting is the Commanders, because we do have an unknown here. Like, I think there's a chance that each week there is a pretty usable fantasy back on the Commanders' offense. I just don't know that it's going to be the same one week in and week out. And I think the question that Mike posed is the correct one, is like, who are you rolling the dice on? I'm sure Chris Rodriguez will have some level of a role, but I'm going to put him aside here for a second. Maybe the kind of a role that just kind of annoys you for fantasy purposes. So I think it comes down to a fundamental question, is do you think you take the sort of tried and true Austin Eckler, or do you go with the potential breakthrough player in Bill Krosky Merritt? I almost said McCroskey, and I would have come over there and I would have pulled your hair or something. My answer is it depends on your roster construction. So, like, if you went running back in the first 2 rounds, and you got, like, I'm just making this up here, you took Bijan at pick 2, and you got Chase Brown at pick 18, and you feel like, hey, most weeks your flex is going to be a wide receiver. I just need a guy that, like, I just need, like, a safety insurance policy for bye weeks. I'm happy to go with Austin Eckler. If you need to, like, roll the dice a little bit on a running back who could give you some major upside, but also might be a player who plays 15 snaps a game, it's Krosky Merritt.
Yeah, so
any disagreements?
No, I'm with you, and it feels
100%.
like the 2 guys that we wouldn't be drafting at this point would be Chris Rodriguez and Isaac Garendo. Those are guys that we would watch on waivers just in case something happened in that backfield.
But I think Bill Krosky Merritt has flashed so much during the preseason that his ADP is going to climb. He reminds me a little bit of Isaac Pacheco's draft stock back in 2022. I think there's like a comparable situation there. So I agree with Mike.
That was one of the comps for Bill during the pre-draft process, as a matter of fact.
Well, watch out, first draft.
Watch out. Watch out.
I got a question for
Someone
you
else
guys
grinds
in the
that
audience.
tape.
This might be the most important question. I think we've had this offline here. If the options for you is a name, like walking around the streets, were Jacory and Bill, why on earth would you go with Bill?
That's a great question.
Reliable, consistent.
I feel like
Because of Crosby. It sounds like Bill Cosby, right? Isn't that the joke?
Krosky Merritt?
Like Krosky Merritt, Bill Crosby.
All right, anyway.
I don't think you want to sound like
Yeah.
I think we
no.
just, we were talking about this before. We need, like, a nickname for him, so I think we could just call him
wants it
Bill, and
Bill.
everyone will know who Bill is.
Yeah.
There's no other Bills.
I like JCM. I just wanted to call JCM because it's not Bill. It's Bill in quotation marks.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think we go Bill.
All right.
How about we
think
ask him?
there
With
were
all
no
that,
doubts.
yeah,
Wait, didn't he say
we'll
Bill?
do that.
He said Bill.
We're really big on saying players' names correctly after we found out that Bajan wanted us to say it that
Bajan.
way. Tetaroa, obviously his mom does not like saying Tet. so we're
Cameron
saying
versus
Tetaroa.
Cam Ward.
Exactly,
We
yeah.
spent a lot
I
of
still
time on
think
that
Cam's
one.
allowed
I know
to be.
you did.
Yeah, I think Cam is still in play there. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of being play, we want to be able to find a couple of guys that we can play that are maybe going to break out for fantasy
Love that
squads
transition
this year,
for you
guys.
right there. That was great.
I'm trying, Field. But we're going to talk breakouts. Yesterday we talked sleepers. Today we're talking breakouts. Mike, I'm going to start with you like I did yesterday. If you had one breakout for 2025, who's the one player that you think?
Just one breakout
Just one
player?
breakout. You get
one
to
breakout
pick
player.
one
So many
breakout.
options here, man.
I mean, if you had prepared for the show, you would have brought just one.
I mean, I don't want to. Like we did this yesterday too. We did like a big breakout player, and you
did
know,
a league
sleepers
winner.
at each
League
position.
winner. You did a league winner,
This is
yeah.
This is a tough call. I could go so many directions. I'm going to go Ashton Genty. I mean, I'll take the layup.
Wow.
Someone has to do it. Someone has to take the layup, and that's what I did in the column. Everyone went through. No one took Ashton Genty. Someone had to do it. So I'll be that guy. I'll take the easy dunk, the easy layup here. Look, Genty is being drafted in the first round for a reason. This is going to be a clear feature back in this Las Vegas backfield. Very little competition there. And one of my favorite stats of the offseason that I dug up is that if you look at these
Are you a
guys.
stats guy now?
I'm a stats guy. I'm following your lead. I know
Turned
you're
40
trying
and
to
became a
take
stats
over.
guy. I
I
see
am.
it.
I'm working on it. But if you look back at the last 8 running backs who were selected in the top 12 of the draft, all 8 were top 10 fantasy running backs as a rookie. So when you
Love
hear
that.
people say, well, that guy's never played it down, why would I go that direction? How about the last 8 running backs that were in his shoes? I mean, and all those guys weren't necessarily efficient. You think about like a Trent Richardson, for example. They weren't the most efficient guys, but he was still top 10.
Dude, there are kids in
because-
the audience right now. You got to give us a warning.
Yeah, trigger warning when you mentioned Trent Richardson.
So-
I think this
so
is
much
a good
volume.
point, though, because a lot of people also don't love the offense that Ashton Genty is attached to. Lots
Yeah.
of question marks around it. Historically, the Raiders probably not the most prolific in terms of numbers and production, but we know it can be done because Saquon Barkley himself, attached to a middling Giants offense, was the RB1 overall his rookie
Sure
season
was.
back in 2018. So there is data to prove that Genty can do it in his stead.
Last 8, he can make it 9 in a row.
All right.
I'm in.
Love that. It's really going out on a limb there, Mike, but we appreciate it. Someone's got to take the layup for us here. Liz, if we put you on the spot, who's your breakout for 2025?
There are obviously a lot of wide receivers. I know you are taking one, and I don't want to take anyone's pick here. I don't want to offend anyone and not
I'm
read
going
a doc
last
or
for
go
that
off
reason.
script. Okay.
I am going last, please.
I am a long-time Justin Fields apologist, so this should not be too much of a surprise. I think the Chicago Bears ruined him and broke him, but I think New York could be his redemption story. I love, you don't like the vibes, huh? Vibes are a little
nervous.
What?
I'll tell you why in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tanner Engstrom, love the history there. I love that he's very clearly going to focus on the run. If you're watching the preseason, there's not much dimension to the offense, but the Konami code that Fields presents with his legs, I think, is the key here. He was a top 10 producer as the starter, top 10 at the position producer as a starter in Chicago, both in 2022 and 2023, top 5 in rush attempts, rushing yards in both of those seasons. So I think that he could finish as there's a lot of room here. I think he could finish as like a top 8 quarterback. I do think he will finish inside the top 15 regardless. So I am hopeful, I am optimistic for a breakout here.
Before you jump in,
Is
Field.
Konami code Pokemon as
I
well?
was just going to ask you, you know so many useless facts, Field, but do you know what the Konami code is?
Is it Pokemon?
No. Field, I'm so disappointed.
He's only like a couple years younger than us.
I
You should know this one.
Did you not grow up with Nintendo? Did you ever have a Nintendo in your house?
I was too busy grinding tape.
Oh. Brutal. All right. We'll talk about this after the show then. How do you feel?
So
I mean,
confused
why
right
are you
now.
nervous about the idea of Justin Fields?
Because of the toe, the vibes, the health.
I'm not worried about the toe. No, the toe's. I think that's largely behind him. This offense just might be like super low functioning this year, and he'll have enough rushing upside. I just think that you're going to have a lot of games where Justin Fields disappoints to like the tune of 11.5 fantasy points.
Do
Perhaps
you not
some
have any optimism about the reunion with him and Garrett Wilson as
No.
former Buckeyes? So that has
I just
no currency.
you know I
for you.
think we have enough
That was a
evidence
no.
now.
That was a no.
Listen,
No, I think
I'll save my thoughts for the bus segment. A little foreshadow.
guys, I just think like at some point, like draft pedigree has to get thrown out the window. I just don't think Justin Fields is a high-level football player as a passer. Like I just think he's a mediocre passing quarterback.
But Blake Bortles did
do you
produce for
disagree?
fantasy.
No.
I was
I'm
gonna
just saying, you know?
He doesn't need to use his arm in order
Right.
to be good for fantasy football.
Yeah, but I mean, to have a steadier, I think to be a steadier ship, he does.
Right.
So there's going to be like bomb weeks and there are 2 boom
Yes,
events. There's not
he'll
gonna be
have
enough
he
consistency.
might have a
That's a
month
fair
where he
argument.
carries your squad. I just think personally there are a few other guys that are going around Justin Fields that I think can get there more consistently. Justin Herbert, Caleb Williams, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
That I think to me it's just like smooth sailing like the waters here at Baha Mar as opposed to where Justin
For
For
Fields.
what it's worth, I did move Caleb Williams ahead of Justin Fields in my rankings, especially after last weekend's preseason showing. So I am feeling like if there is one Chicago Bears stained quarterback,
Yeah.
it is Caleb Williams that I am standing behind.
Justin
like
Fields
yeah.
maybe feels a little bit better in a best ball league where you get just get to have
Sure.
all the good games, right, from that perspective.
But even there, that means you're counting on a number of them.
That's true. Stephania, if you were counting on someone to break out this year, who would it be?
You're just getting so good with the segue.
I'm trying
I
here.
admire that.
Transitions
I
are-
know. It's incredible. Marvin Harrison Jr., because if not now, when? Right? I mean, it's only his second year, right?
Right.
But we had high expectations for last year, and I think that this year maybe is, he takes that step forward. A lot of off-season work between him and Kyler Murray, and you hope that that helps with the chemistry. They always talk about adding muscle. Like, you had pounds, but he is stronger. He's definitely 10
How come when you
pounds
said when
heavier.
you had pounds, you looked at me? Why did you look directly at me when you said that,
Because you have
Stephania?
pounds.
You need to add some- You can add some pounds. You're fine with adding pounds.
Oh, please.
You can't. There's some people you can't look at when you talk about adding pounds.
That's
you know?
true.
So,
That's true. Okay,
like,
that's
I
right.
Can always in any case, he's going to hopefully have much better chemistry with Kyler Murray after they kind of started to get it together last year. And the reason for the comment about the weight is the physicality. He's not been hugely physical. He just could outplay everyone in college and make the catches. He had a very low yards after the catch last year, too, less than 3 yards after the catch average. You'd like to see him improve that this year. Maybe better separation, better routes.
I think, and Mike has this stat. You can share it first, and I'll sort of give you the dovetailing point to it.
Yeah, zero design screens as a rookie. So they were not manufacturing touches for him. It was a lot of just downfield.
Yeah, no, like it was
low,
almost all downfield.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why the yards after the catch was so low. It was just basically like, hey, let's just try to put the biscuit in the basket 20 yards downfield and hope that it works. We need to see a whole lot more creativity from that coaching staff on offense in Arizona. Again, this is and I'll continue to say this until he breaks out. 4th overall pick in the draft last year, in which they could have easily moved back. And it's the proverbial buy a Ferrari and park it in the garage and leave it there. Don't do that with Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'm with you.
I hope
on that
they
one.
don't. Yeah.
I hope they don't as well. My guy that I'm going to talk about did not go quite as high as Marvin Harrison Jr., but I'm going to talk about an NFC North wide receiver. You guys know I love my NFC North teams. And it's Rome Odunze.
Love
What?
it.
Yeah.
Rome Odunze. Honestly, vibes are for me, and I realize that you got to take everything with a grain of salt when you're looking at training camp, right? But in this new Ben Johnson offense, the idea of Rome Odunze and everything that they talked about him being when they brought him in with Caleb Williams, I believe that Rome Odunze is set up to be in a spot where he can be not only the number 2 pass catcher in this offense, and by the way, the number 2 pass catcher in a Ben Johnson-led offense can absolutely smash if things get underway the way they're supposed to. It might take a little bit.
You say that as if that's happened.
I've seen it happen before for a number of years in Detroit, and so even though it might take a few weeks to be able to get things really smoothly moving in the Chicago Bears offense, I think Rome Odunze is set up for a really nice sophomore jump rather than a sophomore slump in his second year. And especially because his ADP is in the very end of the 9th round.
Yeah.
He doesn't cost a lot.
Yeah.
So for you to grab him as like a wide receiver 3 or a flex play, love me some Rome.
Yeah, there was a little bit of me throughout the offseason. I was a little nervous just because of Luther Burden. And what happens if he steps in and he becomes like Keenan Allen was last year for Caleb Williams? But it looks like Luther Burden's a ways off. He might not even be the number 3 receiver to open the season at this point. So that gives me a little bit more, there's more targets available to Odunze. And I think that's huge in this offense. So I do feel better about his breakout potential.
My turn?
Go
All
ahead.
right, so Daniel just mentioned sometimes the number 2 option in a passing offense can be good enough to be a breakout player. So I'm going Alan Lazard.
Stop.
Get out.
I love it.
What? No, that's an old joke. from the
Although
podcast.
he did say this is the best receiver room he's ever been a part of. So
Really?
yeah.
I have a
That's
hard
a
time
little- yeah.
understanding.
Cannot wait to be catching passes from Justin
Brown
Fields.
is going there. So Mike started this off with Ashton Genty. You're saying to yourself, like a guy who's going 6th overall, like is that a breakout? I think that's important to establish that breakouts, it's a totally subjective term, right? Like how you define it could be very different from Stephania, Liz, Mike, Daniel. I think a guy who we saw the second half of last season kind of establish himself as a borderline top 10 or 12 wide receiver is ready to graduate into the area where he might end up being like a top 7 wide receiver by the end of the season. That's Lad McConkey from the Chargers.
Yeah.
The Chargers did this offseason make a couple of investments. 2nd round pick Trey Harris. Of course, they brought Keenan Allen back. I think like
Preseason darling Keandre Lambert-Smith.
DeAndre Lambert-Smith in the 5th round. I
Yeah.
liked him in the draft process too. I just think this is like clearly the best playmaker on their offense, and it's not even like a conversation. Lad McConkey was incredible down the stretch last year. I think a baseline of 140 targets should be expected for Lad. I'm not concerned about Keenan taking away slot snaps. Like, come on. Keenan Allen was awesome for the Chargers for a long time. If he was that certain to be an upgrade over Lad McConkey, he wouldn't have been out of work until like 10 days ago.
Sure.
Like, it's going to be the Lad show. They became a much pass-heavier and much more aggressive offense in the second half of last season. Lad McConkey, by the end of this year, we could be talking about him not quite in the territory of the Jefferson, the Chase, the CD Lambs, but like if he's on the back end of that conversation that currently includes like the Nico Collins and the Brian Thomas Jr.'s, wouldn't surprise me going into 2026.
When you look at this Chargers offense, I mean, outside of the wide receivers, right, it feels like they're going to funnel basically all of their passes there. Their best tight end this year is Tyler Conklin.
Probably, or Will Dissly. Yeah,
Or
it's
Will
a lot of guys
Dissly.
who can't catch a pass more than like 3 yards down the field.
And they don't, not that Omarion Hampton isn't a good pass catcher out of the backfield, but they don't have like a pass catching specialist that you feel like that guy's going to command a boatload of targets out of the backfield.
That's a scheme thing, too. Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, throughout their entire careers, have never thrown to the running back.
backs.
So
Yeah.
last year, J.K. Dobbins did just enough to hang in fantasy. So that gives me that makes me feel like Hampton will get enough where he's not going to crush you. It's not going to be like Derrick Henry where he's like 12 catches. He could probably have 30. So it is a little bit of a limitation of his upside, but not enough that it's really concerning. I think he'll be okay, but not great. But anyway, to your point, yes. It's not going to be a big overall target share to running backs, probably not to tight ends, but receivers will benefit.
They will benefit, and Ladd McConkey is certainly number one there.
Yeah,
when
I
we're looking at all
hope
that.
he's kind of he's got a slight build, and he's
Lad? Young lad? Yeah,
yes,
he's small,
young lad,
yeah.
and he's been banged up a little bit in the preseason.
Yeah.
And
wasn't
a
doing
lot
much.
in 2022 and 2023 of his college career. He was not really a full-time player, but
Yeah,
I'm a little. I think he's being drafted a little
healthy,
high.
but
I
it
like
is a little concern.
I like the counter punch.
I just think his ADP is a little bit more inflated than I would prefer. But I do think if you were counting on a breakout, you don't mind spending that extra draft capital.
Is this because he poo-pooed your Justin Fields pick? Is that what it
No,
was?
if he was catching passes from
Anyone
Justin
on this
Fields,
set is tit for tat. It's
That's
me.
it. Okay, all right, that's fair.
Liz never forgets.
All right, well, from breakouts to busts then, let's talk about a couple of guys that we may be avoiding in fantasy drafts this year. Mike, I'm going to start
Jared
with
Goff.
you as well. Oh.
Wow.
Well, all the Lions. Why do you always got to pick on my Lions?
One line, Jared Goff. Look, I think was at his peak last year. I think that even great players have peak seasons, and we saw a career high in YPA last year, completion percentage, and fantasy finish. He was 7th last year. That's the best points per game finish of his entire career. In fact, the only season in which he has finished in the top 10, and this is his 10th season. He's been around for a while. So when you come off a season like that, and there's been some changes here. I know the pass catchers are similar, but the interior offensive line has some issues. Ben Johnson's obviously gone. So I think we saw his peak, and he returns to earth. There's
You were
just
being
not much
serious.
upside.
I thought you were just needling Daniel for a second. You just went in on it.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm serious about that one.
There's nothing
Out,
wrong with
out.
that. I
No,
understand what
There's
it's like.
nothing wrong with that. It's your quarterback.
I know, but here's
Defend
the thing.
him.
I love John. I'll defend him by saying he's been a top 10 quarterback 3 straight seasons. However,
Oh,
Not
take
points per
that for
game.
data, Mike.
however,
Not points per game.
we're not worried about points per game. I'm worried
we
about
are.
longevity and health, and that means he's on the field for 17 games. But the problem is, Jared Goff's bad games are like unstartably, like horrifically
Because he doesn't
bad.
run.
This is
Because
way too pragmatic of analysis.
I know. I'm trying really hard.
You're
I'm
a
trying really hard.
40-year Detroit Lions
He
fan.
doesn't
You
run
guys
the
are finally
football,
dominant.
And they have 2
Talk your talk.
unbelievable running backs. So when he
Yeah.
doesn't have to do that,
Yeah.
then Jared Goff is just really tough in fantasy.
QB 17 or lower 9 times last season. So he had a couple
Wow.
spike games, but when are you going to fire him up off the bench? You're just not going to do it. So out on him, are we going through all the positions?
Yeah, go
like
ahead and
yesterday?
yeah.
I'll go to tight end next. Mark Andrews, just unsustainable touchdown rate. First in touchdowns, 20th in targets last season. Hard to follow that for another season. And then I saved the other 2 for last because they are the pass catcher and running back for your Justin Fields New York Jets. Brees Hall.
That's fine.
Going too high. 3rd round ADP in 12-team leagues. We're going to see more Braylon Allen. There's some Isaiah Davis hype, which we saw late last season. Remember, they started to phase both of those guys into the offense. So
Dang.
I think with his ADP, it's just too rich for me. I think he's going a round or two too early. And then Garrett Wilson. Here's the thing about Garrett Wilson.
Just hate all the Jets.
I'm just hammering away on the Jets. Love Garrett Wilson as a player, but it is a scheme problem here, okay? This guy has been top 6 in targets all 3 seasons in the NFL and has not finished in the top 20 in fantasy points per game. Now you're telling me Justin Fields, who does not throw the ball very often and averaged under 200 passing yards per game last season, is going to be his quarterback, and now he's going to get into the top 20, the top 15, the top 10. I just don't see how that math works out.
Don't you have him
I
ranked
just don't
like
get it.
wide receiver 17?
Yeah, but your draft, where he's going.
Sorry.
No. I mean, look, he's going to have a huge target share, and it's going to allow him to hang in the, we'll say, fringe wide receiver 2, early wide receiver 3 conversation. But the problem is where he's going in drafts. Right now in 12-team leagues, he's going in the 4th round. The guys going around him are better options with a higher ceiling, and that's my main issue with Wilson. He may finish wide receiver 17,
20.
whatever
15.
it may be. The problem is he's not going to beat that. That is his ceiling in this offense. If you look at every game Justin Fields has ever played, 90+% of the snaps, those offenses average 25.8 pass attempts per game. That would have ranked dead last in the NFL last season, and that's not going to change this year. It's just not going to change. So I don't know how he has a path to a full-on breakout this season. I think he's going too early. I don't want him.
Okay. All right. Negative Mike Clay.
I was going to say, I feel like when Mike makes negative takes, he really digs
He
his
dives
heels
in.
That one's personal.
like
okay?
dives in
you
head
might
first.
recall I was high on the Jets last year as a team. That did not go well, so now I'm really
Mike has like
Sticking
8
it.
That's
stats where
where
it's
it's
like, here's a
coming
positive
from.
thing. It's like, oh, that dude's got sweet swagger. Then it's like, I hate Garrett Wilson. Here's 94 reasons why.
I'm so mad. All right.
That's too bad. I accidentally drafted Brees Hall in a league that we're in right now.
Accidentally?
Over the weekend. Yes, accidentally over the weekend. So I'm not super
Can't
thrilled
imagine
about it.
how that happened.
Yeah, we'll
4
figure that out.
margaritas in.
You
and-
had a click.
I had a couple of those. Yeah. All right. Well, Liz Loza.
That was incredible.
Thank you.
No one appreciated that. That
You
is
did feel,
a
and
shame.
that made me smile.
If you
Thank
had mic drop, then it would have been so epic.
Liz, I appreciate. Nope. Liz, give us your busts for 2025.
Yeah, you saved yourself right
close.
there.
That was
Yeah.
close.
Still
My bus.
employed, Daniel Dopp.
I'm going to start at the tight end position because I'm not terribly passionate about this bust. It's also, when you're talking about busts for like a tight end, welcome to Volatility City, right? Like, it's all a little bit much. I'm a little bit worried about Colston Loveland. I do think, I know Stephania talked him up, I believe, yesterday, and I wanted
I
for
thought
the
I was
Bears.
appealing to your love, your
Typical
fandom,
Bears
your
hater.
heart.
Typical Bears hater.
And,
I just
and
think-
this is what I get back.
There is a mouths to feed issue here. I am concerned with it.
I addressed that.
You did, and I don't think you're wrong in that Cole Kmet will eventually fade away. But right now, there is so much love and hype for Colston Loveland that I don't think people are baking into the ADP the amount of time they're going to have to wait for it to come to fruition. And so, therefore, I am out.
I'm out.
I am out. At wide receiver, I don't mind Tyreek Hill, but I do think
Good
that
pick.
there is some volatility in his vastness of production. Like, he's either going to bounce back and it's going to be a top 5 year, or he can finish outside of the top 20. I don't really love the fact that so much of his value is predicated on his skill set as a speedster. He's 31. We've seen some of that recede. He had a surgery over the offseason, and he is reliant on a quarterback that excels in passes to the short to intermediate levels of the field. So all of that is making me not love him in the low-end wide receiver 1 range. I don't hate it, but I do think it's a little bit inflated. At quarterback, I think Baker Mayfield also is being drafted at peak value. You're either getting him at like QB6, QB7. You're assuming that with Liam Cohen gone, he's going to be able to copy and paste a career season like he did last year and still throw for another 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns. I think that's awfully optimistic, especially when you can wait, like we talked about yesterday, for a Bo Nix, for a Kyler Murray a little bit later. But ultimately, the player that I want to talk about, because everybody loves to get into my DMs about it, is Saquon Barkley.
Whoa, you got people sliding into your DMs?
I got people sliding all over my DMs, babe.
Love it.
You just do a podcast on that.
Yeah.
Liz's DMs.
And my husband just texted me.
Okay.
It's like they know. He is in Los Angeles, but he is in Los Angeles. But in terms of Saquon Barkley, coming
He
off
slid
of
into your DMs.
my husband.
No, Saquon.
Wow.
This is off the rails.
Different.
No, of course not. People who are very passionate about Saquon Barkley
Oh,
have.
got it.
And for good reason. He had a historic 2024. He also touched the ball a historic number of times, 484 total touches. I feel like I say this every single week.
Yep.
He is going 3rd overall.
Yep.
I think it is wild to assume that he can produce that again, especially given that every single running back over the past 10 years who has exceeded 300 carries and 20 receptions, which is way lower than Barkley's touch count, has regressed in terms of yards per carry, yards per touch, and fantasy points per game. He's not doing it again. It's not going to happen. So if you are not comfortable with a regression, then don't pay for one. And if you don't like the upside of the unknown that Mike discussed in Genty, then just don't draft a running back there. Go ahead and grab yourself a wide receiver.
He can still be really good with
and
regression
still be a bust given
where he's being drafted.
Thank you.
100%.
Yes.
I am with
A
you,
bust
Liz
does
Loza.
not mean that he is going to finish RB20, RB50, but he could finish RB15, and that would be a disappointment.
He is going to be an amazing case study on this, because the reason we're still ranking him that high is because of the situation in Philadelphia with that O-line and how good that offense is.
No Mekhi Becton.
I'm not
Gonna
worried.
be- and the talent level, obviously, but that's been there for those other running backs. So he is going to be a fascinating case study.
And nobody
in.
would mind that you're not worried, right? Like, I don't disrespect anyone who's taking him, but if I'm being asked who do I think is going to regress, and I'm going to give you a real name where there is evidence of legitimate regression, then that's the name I'm going to talk
who it is.
about, and not hide behind last year's numbers.
Fair. All right, Liz Loza, I love it, coming in strong. Field, what about your busts for 2025?
Thank you, Daniel. First of all, it's my favorite category. It's my favorite thing to talk about in fantasy in general because you like take
all the negative
You just
things.
do all this like mean things about people, and then you get fans all pissed off at you and everything, and it's pretty much no win because if you get them right, people are pissed off because those guys suck.
Or it was easy. Like it's like, oh, that was
Well, if
obvious.
you get it right, they're like,
Right,
"Oh,
yeah.
no, sweet, my
Yeah.
like this guy who's supposed to be a star stinks." If you get it wrong, then people are like, "I told you so, you jackal."
Right.
Anyways, and Patrick Mahomes, you guys ever heard of him?
People that call you jackals?
Oh, yes, sometimes. In my DMs mostly.
In your DMs. Okay, slide into your DMs.
I don't think
calling
it's Jackal.
I don't think so
he's
either.
censoring.
I agree with you, Mike. I agree with you.
We are a family podcast
That's
here.
right.
Exactly.
Field's professional.
So Patrick Mahomes is an interesting one,
Yeah.
and I talked about this yesterday on the show. How ADP is important, but it's not the end-all, be-all. And I acknowledge that players who are incredibly popular, like face of the league and like probably the most popular player on the planet, are going to go higher because some people play fantasy football casually. That being said, once we get past that first 5 quarterback tier, which whether it's 4 or 5, I think we all agree that like even if you're not Joe Burrow tier 1, you are Joe Burrow like just outside of tier 1, and he belongs in a cut above the guys like Patrick Mahomes and Bo Nix and Brock Purdy and Kyler Murray, etc. Baker Mayfield, like Patrick Mahomes is not going that far behind Joe Burrow. Like Patrick Mahomes is going like right now at the end of the 5th round on ESPN. You could wait 2 rounds and get Bo Nix. You can wait 4 rounds and get Kyler Murray or Brock Purdy. You can wait and get Baker Mayfield like 2 or 3 rounds later as well. So Mahomes, who had 4 games inside the top 10 last year, 4.
Yeah.
4. Lamar Jackson. Oh, sorry. I thought there was someone reacting to my take. But Mahomes is an interesting one. You're having to pay basically full freight on Patrick Mahomes when there are some really, really good options going a little bit lower than him.
2 consecutive seasons, he has not averaged even 18 fantasy points per game. He has been in the 17.5 to 17.9.
And there's reasons for optimism for sure. They're talking about all the right things, and they think they're going to be more explosive this year. But they might have Rashee Rice for like, buddy, what's up, man? They might have him for half the season. They might have Rashee Rice. Another half, maybe way gone. So other options here, and this is again, we did these actually a while ago. So. Joe Mixon gave me some bad vibes a while ago. Now it's just like undraftable.
Undraftable.
I would not be touching Joe Mixon right now unless we have a more concrete update by the time your draft begins. Like I'm planning for him to be gone for a long, long time. Jonnu Smith was the same category. He got traded. So we got Jonnu Smith believers here. And then last one here. This one, get back on track a little bit. DJ Moore makes me a little nervous. And Daniel, nice pick by you.
The Rome Odunze.
Breakout picks.
We're so simpatico in our picks.
Rome Odunze, I would have, if Daniel had not already snatched Rome Odunze, he would have been on my short list for favorite breakout candidates this year. Something just feels a little off with it's not quite to the level of Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa. Doesn't feel totally connected between him and Caleb Williams. I know that he's got 93 or more catches in 3 of his past 4 seasons. He probably will lead the Bears in catches this year. Weird year last season. I just have some concern about whether things are going to get on track there between he and Caleb Williams.
Yeah, it's usually not a good sign when it feels like his final season with the team, like a player's final season with the team before it even starts. And the future is probably Rome Odunze and Luther Bird in there, Colston Loveland. So
I think we've
I'm with
all
you.
said
It
a
feels-
version of the same thing, that by the end of the year we feel the flip is coming, that Rome Odunze is going to end up
right away.
and well, by the end of the year, but how long it takes, it may not take very long at all. DJ Moore also was on my list as well.
Field, I guess I feel like I need to ask this question. I mean, you just interrupted your entire thing to say, "What's up, buddy?" to a guy that walked by. Is it just a guy that you knew from back home, or was it
I
actually?
got lots of friends here. I've had a great time. Know a lot of people around here.
Because there was a guy that walked by with a set of golf clubs and a full pizza, and it was like, I might want to leave the podcast to go hang out with that guy right now.
Honestly, my favorite part about doing the show right here is like you see people come up and they're like get their cameras out. You can tell they're excited. They're like, is that like the Backstreet Boys performing, like taking a break from Vegas? And they're like, wait, who the heck are these people?
Who are these guys?
Why am I videotaping them right now?
And then they hear us
So-
say fantasy football, and they're like, God. And
I'm
then
out.
They just keep it.
And for that reason,
They're like, is
I'm
that
out.
TJ Hawkinson? Holy crap. Yeah.
Please. All right, well, Stephania Bell, obviously you're up next. Well, you said Backstreet Boys, so I was saying that she looked like Christina Aguilera. I was trying to live in that realm. No?
Oh,
I
I'll
mean,
play. Sure,
listen,
why not?
Why
I
not?
can't sing. I can't carry a tune in a bucket, but okay.
I don't know if that's even true, Stephania. We've never done karaoke. Maybe we make that happen here at Baha
I
Mar
don't
over the
know
Did you
weekend.
say a tune in a bucket?
Yeah, I've never heard that
It's an
before.
expression.
Okay.
Oh.
That's what the kids are saying these days, maybe.
No.
I wouldn't know,
It's
so.
before your time, Field. That's all.
I think
Stephania.
Field
let
just
it
got
play.
yeeted. That's
He
what
did.
happened.
That,
He
yes,
just got yeeted.
that is a thing that the kids
See,
are saying
I know
nowadays.
all the kid terms.
There you go.
That means something. That's
Well,
a word with a
Stephania,
meaning.
if you were going to yeet someone from your fantasy roster,
There you
who,
go. So good.
who
You're
are
crushing
the players that
Daniel's just crushing it with the segue. It's like
trying really hard,
you
guys?
really are. You're appealing to all demos right now.
That's the point.
Yep.
That's the point. So if you're going to pick a couple of people that you want to avoid, your 4 busts in fantasy football this year.
I think, normally it's Field's role to define what a bust is, but I feel like I need to come back to it again now because my definition of it, and you say it's your favorite thing to do every year. I think you were being tongue-in-cheek.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Slash S.
I know.
Yeah.
Let me be very clear. It's my least favorite thing to do every year because a lot of people want to base busts on injury, and then this is what I do for a living. Is I'm constantly like we have a child running away screaming because we heard talking about busts in fantasy
that's
football.
it.
But I feel like it's always a negative thing, and I just don't like it. And so to me, when I went through this list, it had to be just simply that they were going to perform below expectations. And I don't care if it's a little bit or a lot. But where they're being drafted, which you alluded to, like the draft capital is too expensive it's too rich for my blood.
Okay.
And I find it interesting that Field and I had 2 of the same players.
Oh,
so Patrick
interesting.
Mahomes was one of mine that
Yep.
on
And then
the
DJ
same
Moore.
list that we wrote
Princeton
about.
educated, brilliant Stephania
And
Bell agrees with
Wesleyan
me.
educated, brilliant Field Yates.
Slide
There
through
you
the
go.
cracks, don't
Yeah.
worry. Yeah.
That's enough, you two.
So, who else?
DJ
Patrick
Moore.
Mahomes and DJ Moore
Yep.
for all the reasons that we talked about. Sticking with the Chiefs' offense, Travis Kelce was my tight end bust for the same reason. I know. Like, look, winning at life, right? Clearly winning at life. Outkicked his coverage. Taylor Swift bringing him to new heights.
GQ spread.
Oh, look at that.
Whoa!
Look at that.
We got a
Stephania.
mic drop on that.
Come on.
Come on, that was
great.
the two of you are on fuego right now. You guys are on fire
I'm
like
not
that
even-
that pool
I'm not
behind
even
us.
the resident Swiftie sitting up here. But
Mike
I
does
watched,
love Taylor
I
Swift.
did
Sure.
watch that pot. But here's the thing. I think Travis Kelce, let's face it, he's been in the league a long time. He is going to be, I think Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce continue to make the Chiefs a threat in their division, a threat to go to the Super Bowl, a threat in real life football. But in terms of fantasy purposes, you see the decline with Travis Kelce. There is a little bit of a physical decline. We didn't even know for sure if he was going to continue to play football. So I think he can be solid, but he's not somebody who I'm wanting to draft in the top 5 of tight ends. And I do feel like everybody, it's catching on a little bit. But still, I would rather wait for a tight end to me who's got the upside, the potential of what he could become.
I was in on this last year for what it's worth, Stephania.
You were ahead of this one, Daniel.
And-
You deserve some recognition for it.
I do want to say that there is a thing
Did I
between. No, you
did
deserve
I-
you
did I
deserve a recognition
overlook?
as well.
I'm
No, you
sorry.
didn't overcook. But I think there is something to be said for you need to be okay with deciding if you would rather be a year too early or a year too late on a player. And my mentality is I would rather be a year too early. Last year, my bold prediction was he was not going to finish as a top 7 tight end at the position. He finished as tight end 6 from fantasy points.
So
per
you were
game.
wrong.
So I was more
It was a
right
good
than
try.
I was
Good
wrong.
why I sent you that
guys.
DM.
It's a bold prediction. That's the whole point.
The thing is that, like, if you want to have a very, very full mailbox of inbox, what do you call it?
Inbox.
Of DMs,
Yes.
then you're a year too early.
Travis Kelce, fewest total fantasy points, fewest points per game, fewest receiving yards, and fewest touchdowns since 2015. And that was last year.
Yeah.
When he had Rashee Rice miss basically the majority of the season, Hollywood Brown barely even played for them,
Yeah.
and then Xavier Worthy didn't even come on until the second half of the year. And now he's going to have more serious target competition. He
The
finished as
only-
tight end 6 last year, and that was the people he was
Andy Reid
competing
has
with.
also been pretty transparent about wanting to save him for the stretch and for the postseason. There is
Yep.
a load management conversation surrounding Travis Kelce and the dynasty that is the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think we also have to factor in not just potential decline in
Yeah.
play, but also
They want to play
decline
into
in
February.
volume. Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Right,
pushback on this pick would simply be the cost is so low this year. Like, I don't know. If I get a top 7 tight end in like the 8th round, I'm like, all right, that's fine.
Interesting. I just would rather have one of the other top 7
The
tight
market's
ends.
really corrected on Travis Kelce. Like even last year, he was when he ended up having a down season. He was going like the 3rd round, right? Like now it's like.
I think some of that has happened since we even put these out, though, in the last couple
You're
of months.
influencing markets.
No.
Like
No. But I do think.
Weren't you one of the Bitcoin influencers?
Stephania, you should have been
To
in
the
early on.
moon.
Should have been.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't be stuck here with you guys. anymore.
Okay now.
Stuck, huh?
Didn't need
Interesting.
that.
I like that one.
No, I think Travis Kelce, though, I think that's happened more in the last few months. I don't know that we came into this season. I still think people thought one more chance for him to. When we started, where was he at the very beginning? I feel like he was going in the top 5 or 6 tight ends.
Travis Kelce at the beginning.
At the beginning when we did our
and I
mock
think he
draft
still is
project.
probably. Yeah, I'm just saying that the 5th or 6th tight end might not come off the board until, pick 81 or something, which I'm cool with personally. That would be my I'm neutral on Travis Kelce.
Just give me one of the top 3. Ideally, one of the top 2. If I get Bowers or McBride, I'll settle for
Kittle.
I'd settle for Kittle, maybe Laporta, but after that, maybe
that's
Hawkinson. But that's
the thing,
enough.
though, is I would rather
Pass.
take somebody who's not like if Travis Kelce considered tight end 6 or 7, I'd rather take someone who's considered lesser than him, even if it's a couple rounds later, who probably has more upside. Like I'd rather get somebody, if you're going to swing for fences where you have a chance to go up, as opposed to somebody where you're just hoping that the drop off isn't too much.
The only other thing I'd say on this is that I thought I was passionate about my hatred of Garrett Wilson this year, but I think Daniel may have upstaged me here with Travis Kelce.
With Travis Kelce.
Like I think you're going to be personally offended if he has a good season.
For
like,
what
you're
it's
gonna
worth,
be furious.
If there's one guy that could be knocked down a peg right now with how well he's doing in life, it's got to be
Yeah,
Travis
let's be honest.
Kelce, right?
You.
No.
Yeah, if he finishes like tight end 9, he'll be okay. Like he's gonna be fine.
He'll be fine.
He's okay with that.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. I just want better than fine on my team, Mike. Maybe we just have different standards for our
Look,
fantasy
no,
football squads.
I agree with you. We're on the same side of this one. my friend.
Okay. Well, I got a couple of busts here.
Yeah.
I
you got
one
Andrews,
more?
Well, I didn't say my
I'm sorry, are you
biggest
done?
My biggest one is my running back, which is
Oh.
Kyren Williams of the Los Angeles Rams. Totally unpopular with some of the people up here, but listen.
I like this because it's bold. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard anybody be like, my bust this year. I've heard a lot of our picks. Like,
Well, this
haven't
is
heard
where
much
I
Kyren
come
Williams.
in with the definition of what a bust is,
Okay.
because Kyren Williams, if you're looking at utilization and opportunity, he's in the top. He's at the top, right?
Yep.
So he's not one of the top 4 running backs, but he's in the top 10. But if you're looking at where we end up at the end of the season, and to me, this is a risk situation because of the utilization of Kyren Williams. And I talked about it a little bit last year, and I thought maybe Sean McVay had learned a lesson, and that's why they drafted Blake Gorham. But it turned out that was a false flag because they continued to rely on Kyren Williams so much that the amount that he touches the ball at some point is going to be problematic, and I don't think it's sustainable. Let me give you some numbers. So Williams accounted for nearly 80% of all touches by Rams running backs, only player in the league to handle at least 70% of his team's total rushing attempts, including those by players other than running backs. 350 touches, sort of the 3rd most behind, of course, Saquon Barkley, who you've talked about, and Bijan Robinson, okay? Back-to-back seasons of over 1,000 yards rushing. Like, again, these are points
All
you're
good
like,
things,
these
yeah.
are good things, what I want in a running back. But every time you were looking at the percentage of snaps he was on the field, it was something over 85%. You can't be on the field that much and not risk injury exposure. I think that he is at high risk for breaking down, and I feel like it's going to catch up to them this year.
Stephania, didn't we see a regression in efficiency from Kyren Williams between 2023 and 2024?
Yeah, averaging 5 yards per carry in 2023 to 4.1 in 2024.
Right. So the fear is that he could dip, but like at 3.8 this season.
You know what's so fascinating is the Rams, I think, disagree. Right? They just gave him 33 mil.
Of course they do, but so why are they continuing to take other running? Like, I think they like the idea of balancing. And
I think March and April emotions, just get laid to rest.
Let me finish my thought. You know, I've talked about the Rams medical staff before and how great they are, and how and that there's a whole lot of communication between coaching staff, front office, medical, and they monitor workload and fatigue and all these things very, very carefully, and everybody is rolled into that, which is why I think they understand there's a risk and why I think they believe that they should try and balance it out. But then when it gets into the way the games are going, gets closer to the season, McVay just can't do it. It's the way that Todd Gurley, who's here, he was utilized like that in the Rams offense until that wasn't the ability to do that any longer. McVay has fallen in love with Kyren Williams. We thought Blake Corum was going to be there to take the workload, to balance some of that workload. It did not happen. And then Blake Corum had an injury of his own. But they keep saying they're going to find ways to use him more this year, and I'm not seeing it. So at the front end of the season, I will look completely wrong. At the back end of the season, let's have a conversation.
But I don't think I agree with this take, but I friggin' love it. It's bold.
Well, I think you answered your own question, though. I mean, the reason they keep investing in day, borderline
late day two picks.
Corum was the third rounder, right?
Corum was third, Jarquez Hunter was fourth, yeah.
The reason they do that is because they know that it's so hard to make it 3 straight seasons with a huge workload like that. They need a fallback option. They haven't had good running back depth. So I think that part of it makes sense. Also, I was not a big Blake Corum fan coming into the league as, just evaluating him.
If you go back and watch Sean
mean,
McVay's press conferences last year, he literally said, we need to find ways to, he was basically talking about this exact thing. We need to help Kyren Williams out. We need to take some of that workload away. We can't have him on the field so much. He was saying these things, but they didn't happen.
No, and I don't think they will.
He's also very fickle in love. I mean, we've seen him fall in and out of love with numerous running backs. And it's not like Field, I understand what you're saying about I love Stephania's take as well. It is making me think the efficiency conversation is the piece of it that I find the most compelling. But when you answer it with the money they've just spent on Kyren Williams, it's not as though we haven't seen a professional sports franchise, particularly one based in Los Angeles, mismanage their money.
I think he's similar.
Who's it a reference to in this case?
The Lakers.
Oh, yeah.
I just think he's similar to your Barkley evaluation. This is a guy that's just had a heavy workload. Week to week, Barkley will be fine. Kyren Williams will be fine. He scores a touchdown basically every game. Yeah. The question is, can he get through a full season again with that sort of workload? He can
average an RB1.
He can average 3.7 yards per carry if he scores a touchdown every week. I'm not worried about that. It's just, these other guys are. I think the only question is like which.
I do not see Barkley and Kyren Williams as the same because they are just built very, very.
They're built different, but the point is they've had massive workloads, and the question you're asking yourself when drafting is, will they sustain this for a full season?
But I answer it differently based on how they're built. Like, I don't think it's the same answer just because, I can't take just the numbers and say these two guys have had the same workloads and are therefore down the same path. The way Saquon is built as a running back is very different than Kyren Williams, and the way they're subject to the punishment they take, for lack of a better word, on the field makes Kyren Williams riskier to me than Saquon Barkley.
We were down at the beach earlier today for the combine, and people were like, dude, I remember you last year, shredding your shoulder on the beach, and here you are a year later, and some were best shape I've ever seen someone in my entire life, and you are built different. So I relate.
Get that.
I relate to this whole built different thing.
All right, well, I'm going to land this plane for us on the show and talk about my busts here. And you guys have already mentioned a handful of them. One of them being Saquon Barkley, another one being Travis Kelce. My wide receiver bust is Jerry Jeudy, just the number one wide receiver in a Browns offense that just has question marks at quarterback. Obviously, we all feel much better.
Who's their starting quarterback?
It's Joe Flacco. Thank you. I got the joke halfway through as I was answering it. Sorry, Field.
We pronounce names correctly.
That's right.
Flacco.
Joe Flacco.
Because we respect.
We feel a lot better about Jerry Jeudy with Joe Flacco under center, but I would not be shocked if we get to a point in which we're going to see a different Browns quarterback, and that's the part that, as I'm getting into the meat of my fantasy season.
They have young quarterbacks on their roster?
They've got 6 of them, Field. I'm pretty sure they've got at least 6.
I heard that Joe Flacco, who does not have any children named Joe, is now going to have Flacco Sr. on the back of his jersey because he's so old.
Just because he's so old. That's exactly what it is. By the time that I get into the fantasy playoffs, you know what I don't want? I don't want a young rookie quarterback all of a sudden coming in and deciding whether or not the guy I've been relying on is going to continue to be that guy. So Jerry Jeudy is my bust at the wide receiver spot. And for quarterbacks, it's going to be Baker Mayfield.
I thought we were a pro-Baker podcast around here. Bakers in general.
We love Bakers in general.
People that make parfaits, pastries, people that are named Baker. I thought we were a pro-Baker podcast.
I am out on Baker Mayfield this year. Here's the reason why. ADP right now is QB6, maybe QB7. But that means you're literally drafting him at his ceiling, unless you think he's going to be better than Josh Allen or Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow. I don't think that Baker Mayfield is going to be better than any of those guys. So if I'm drafting him at QB6, I think I'm drafting him at what will be his ceiling. And with how I view the position this year, I would rather get one of those quarterbacks that I don't have to use a pick quite as early on, that I think could still be in that QB 6 to 7 to 8 range, then I can grab someone a little farther on down that list. Chris Godwin, major question marks there. Mike Evans is like 135 years old at this point in football years.
Yeah.
In football years, Stephania.
Okay.
All right? And then obviously Jalen McMillan dealing with a very serious injury. We'll see how that one works out. But like, there's no Liam Cohen there. The offense has changed. We talk about his plethora of pass catchers. And sure, he's got a huge number of pass catchers. But there's now more question marks than there were to start the season, which is why Baker Mayfield is going to be my quarterback bust in 2025.
I feel like we all had this conversation like 15 minutes ago.
You're right.
Did we?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Did you just steal Liz's notes, or what is that?
Wait,
Is that
I'm
what
sorry.
happened?
I don't think I stole Liz's notes. No, I don't think that just happened.
He just wasn't paying attention, apparently.
Absolutely not. By the way, you guys basically all picked this is what happens when you go last. You guys have already basically talked
true.
about all the people that I was going to choose from. So
So you just repeated what I said.
Everything
It's
that you
totally
just
fine.
said.
Thank you.
100%.
Yes. We are on the same page.
I will say this to support both of you.
Thank
Last year, Baker Mayfield threw 40 passing touchdowns, which allowed him to hang with those top quarterbacks, the running quarterbacks. That's only happened 7 times in NFL history. So he'd be the 8th if he throws 40 touchdowns again this year. That's a high bar. And that's what you're counting on if you draft him to be your fantasy starter.
So I guess I should have picked Jerry Jeudy because we already had Baker Mayfield. We already had Saquon Barkley, and we already had Travis Kelce. I guess that means I picked the good players
I think
because
you-
all you guys are just following suit with what I think.
You should have said Jared Goff.
That's going to do it for Fantasy
on that
Focus
note-
today, my friends. We're going to be back tomorrow. Don't worry. We got more here from Baha Mar. Make sure you stick with us. Don't
Got
forget to
Baha
love each
Mar
other.
coming your way.
Be kind to yourself, and we will see you guys tomorrow.